Hello, everyone. Yes, it's me. It's an early morning here, still dark outside, a little cooler. Uh, I had a interesting little give and take yesterday with someone about on how shouldn't one keep the squabbles, yep, resolve squabbles without having to go to the court system. The squabbles, yes, I agree. Uh, I personally have never ever taken anyone to court. Uh, if somehow I was involved in some kind of a court case or whatever, I kind of went with the least amount of hullabaloo. I'm not one to really fight anyone. That's never really been my nature, though a few times in my life. Again, had to step in just because I saw a situation. I'm going, they're nuts. They're going nuts. Well, neither party has their head on straight anymore. So one goes and does what? Mediate. Yes. Um, I remember a lawyer once telling me that he's never seen a case go in this way due to the fact that I just said, no, I just want this resolved. Again, I didn't take anybody to court for that matter. It was just something that needed to be done, and expect so little. Though I could have. You say I've never seen anything like this. Why aren't you fighting for what legally could be yours? And I'm going, because I don't want to. I want the other person to take responsibility freely, giving them a choice to do the right thing or go on and make life hard for someone else. Doesn't what does that sound like? Yes, created in the image of my heavenly parent, and like someone said in the same conversations, like, but shouldn't we start to reflect kind of if we've studied all this and believe all that and yep, and want to work towards peace. I'm going, yeah, well, everyone has to do that in their own life first. I feel like I've done that. I said I've never in all my life have I ever taken anyone to court. People have taken me to court. Yeah, because I there was one time. All right, I was taken to court because my little dog that I had a long time ago. She loved cruising around. She was a traveling dog to begin with. I got her when I first came to this country. And then she just couldn't, you could not keep that dog in the yard. She figured it was like she was just waiting for someone to leave that gate open. And she would go on. We had an Andronicos. That's when we lived in Berkeley, California. We had an Andronicos down the road. And she'd go and visit there. I'd probably just sit by the door and see, let's see who's going to give me a little treat. Yeah, it's not like she wasn't fed, but yeah, she loved going and roaming the roads. It was like, and never got hurt. She never got hurt. All right, that's not quite true. She did get hurt. She did get hit by a car. Uh, uh, Again, because she got out, but that was really early on. And yeah, it's a long story. Anyway, so she did, but it was so difficult to keep her in, to keep her from not figuring out how to go and do her walking around, this and that, and I don't know what. She was really small too. So, well, anyway, her name was Doki. And I did. A policeman followed her home, and I said, "How'd you know it was my dog?" Because I knew that she also knew how do you say, a faster way to get home where he could not have followed her. But for some reason, he knew where she lived anyway. Anyway, I had to go to court, and pay a fine for having a dog loose. I did. I did. That was one time. Okay, and then I had a couple of things, where I never paid though. Okay, I had to pay for that one. $79. I came in and I brought it all in pennies. Because I thought, man, okay, all right. I was in the wrong there. No doubt about it. So I paid it, but I had a little rebellion going on there, right? Yeah, because, okay, all right, all right. I was young, okay, all right, forgive me. And then, yeah, there was a couple of times where at the court for a traffic violation, which weren't violations, and they all got thrown out. So sometimes you come across unhappy policemen, and or they make their quota, and again, if it is really my fault, then I'm willing to pay. All right, except for that with my dog. Okay, all right, a long story. But when I feel like, hey, no, you're just not, why are you doing this to me? Then I go and fight it. And the odd thing is I didn't have to fight it. Not one time did I have to go and kind of state my case. For some reason, it was always, oh, the policeman didn't show up, So it was like 3 times that happened to me. Or they had already had come to a conclusion because I had such a great driving record, and kind of didn't make sense, what was laid at my feet. Okay. And then there was the one time where I tried to help someone out in an abusive relationship. And I was warned ahead of time, don't get involved. This is a bad idea. And I'm going, I don't care. I don't care, even if I get in trouble. Right? And we did it in a way where I was there just watching to make sure she didn't get hurt while she moved her stuff out by herself. And yeah, ended up having to go to court, this, that, and it too was all thrown out due to the fact that I was only there driving the car off the property, just watching to make sure she was safe. Anyway, but I've never taken anyone to court. And I agree that squabbles that one has in the family, that one should be able to figure out how to do it without the greed and the power and the unhappiness that goes all with all kinds of things that could create a court case. Yet, what if there are more important things that have to be taken to a court system? So this person brought up that in the Bible, Paul says that one shouldn't take their squabbles to the outside. One should be able to figure it out on the inside. I'm going, yeah, that's true. But in a way, on how it was portrayed was, well, what are you talking about? Yeah? I think that during the time when the Christians were persecuted after Jesus' death, there were people who were unhappy with that, especially whom exactly? The high priests, the people who didn't want to give up their old ways of doing things, like in the Old Testament, didn't want to follow Jesus. They didn't want anything to do with that. Yeah, besides, the guilt was probably eating them up on how they got a good man murdered, right? And so they would go to the Romans. Yes, they were on the Roman rule at the time, and go with their laws, right, to persecute their own people who have decided, well, we like this new way of a more peaceful, rather than fear God over everything and a one war after another and I don't know what. Yes, I'm just saying. And yeah, I agree. But that's not an individual kind of thing. That's where a people takes on the justice system of another nation. Yes? And I don't think that's what Paul meant. I think what Paul meant in the New Testament is that um, who's going to be the bigger person? What I find often is we have to let go of things. I've talked about that when people have stolen from me. And then I'd say, you know what? They needed more than I do. It wasn't protected well enough. So be it. Because I didn't want to become a part of their sin. That's little stuff, right? I'm talking big stuff like murder, where no. People like that have to be taken out of circulation and put somewhere where they should stay for the rest of their lives, so they can't do it again. Yes? Basically, I think what Paul's trying to tell us is that beware when you suddenly sink to the level of actions and behaviors that then you're leaving your proper position as a human being. Yes? One could say so much more to it. It could become a big old discussion, this snap, but it's kind of quite simple. And again, I finally realized with the discussion I had with this person that you're not really you're not really wanting to encourage what Paul is saying. You're abusing what Paul was saying, what he actually meant with that passage. Yes? Yeah. And again, what am I going to do? Hopefully what I had to say, and it was a very pleasant conversation. It didn't get nasty or anything like that. Hopefully, reading through the discussion we had, that person hopefully comes to the conclusion that she was actually exactly saying what Paul is saying. And then he actually regurgitated back to me, and I'm going, but you're saying the same thing I just said. Anyway, that's kind of interesting, but kind of stuck with me. So let's get going here. Talk for 12 minutes. Well, it's a short one. We're in the book of Isaiah. So anyway, if remember, what does it mean to be created in the image of God? And again, little squabbles, this and that. Yeah. I've given in more often in my life than I have taken out, I could say. And for some reason, though, even though I was told by so many people, why are you doing that? Don't complain about it later. Though I did. A little bit, So, hey, I was being so good about it. Why can't the other person also kind of just spiritually grow with that and be a better person in a way, right? Yes? Okay, all right. That was my complaint. So why doesn't it work? I'm being such a good example. Why doesn't it work? Free will, right? Yeah. But I don't regret it. I don't regret being the bigger person. I don't regret having not made life harder for other people just because I can. But did, on purpose, always draw the shorter stick. Do you know what I mean? Yes? I don't know, it's kind of people, that peace of heart to mind has to be earned as well, right? Yes? Yeah, so anyway. And that is that. So, okay, let's get going then. And if I remember, I have something else to say. Yes, which was a nice reveal in a way, and we'll see where that is going to go. Yeah, boy, if that is true, then ooh, okay, all right, okay. One can't help it, but just revel a little bit in when you know in your heart to mind you know either it can't be or this is it. Yes, and then it gets validated later on. That trust that one has to give when you know that the path that you've been going is the right path. And just because someone throws a big old boulder in the way doesn't mean that one then just veers off and goes somewhere else. Yes? Yeah, I'm very good at rock climbing too, or I used to be. Eh? Now I'd probably just go around it and then go on straight. Yeah, I can't move it either. Okay, I'm just saying. Not veering off. All right, we're in the book of Isaiah 20, relating to the capture of Ashdod. The year the general in chief sent by Sargon, king of Assyria, came to Ashdod and stormed and captured it. At that time Yahweh spoke through Isaiah, son of Amos, and said, Go, undo the sackcloth round your waist, and take the sandals off your feet. And he did so, and walked about naked and barefoot. Okay. Yahweh then said, As my servant Isaiah has been walking about naked and barefoot for the last 3 years, as a sign and portent for Egypt and Cush, so the king of Assyria will lead the captives of Egypt and the exiles of Cush, young and old, naked and barefoot, their buttocks bared, to the shame of Egypt. Then they will be afraid and ashamed of Cush, their hope, and Egypt, their pride, and the inhabitants of this coast will say on that day, Look what has happened to our hope, to those to whom we fled for help, to escape from the king of Assyria. How are we going to escape? That's the end of 20. All right, I'd have to go, and this is not enough for me to uh, uh, remember. I'm doing this for the reputation of God. Okay. Well, I like to walk barefoot, not necessarily naked, okay? Because not that I don't like to be naked, but you get to a certain age and you're going, oh, that might just gross out some people. uh, I'm not sure what this really entails. I can't quite see. I'm not getting it. Okay, so I'm not sure why Isaiah would think that God tells him to do that. And then did it happen? It doesn't say. It just says that, well, this is going to happen to everyone else. So he's a prophet. So he's, yeah. I'm starting to think that maybe Isaiah was a little bit nuts. I have a close family member, not here, in Switzerland, who went a bit nuts. He was very young. I'm not sure. I'll go and pry. People do what they do, and he decided one day to go and streak naked through a little town and proclaim he was Jesus. Son, yeah, he was picked up and put away for a while. He's doing all right now. Yes, okay. A moment in time, right? Okay. Well, it didn't hurt anyone. It didn't hurt anyone. Never hurt anyone. Okay. So, uh, I don't know. So is that a prophet? Maybe he's a prophet. I don't know. People just aren't listening. This would be a good way to gain the attention of the people, wouldn't it? Yeah, I don't know. Anywho, this is a little odd. I might go and check this out a little more and see if there's any historical um, records to see if the people of Egypt and Cush actually had to walk barefoot naked to wherever they were enslaved to. But my feeling is that I won't find anything. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Mm. Such an odd book in a way, right? Yeah. All right. Done with that. I don't have much to say to it. For the reputation of our heavenly parent, this is made up, in my opinion. I do not believe that God would tell Isaiah to do that. And then again, when we're talking about people, that always includes women and children, elderly, and why take it out on everyone? Why do that? Uh, I find that interesting when people say, oh, in this organization or that organization, they all are doing this. And it turns out it's one person who broke the law. That becomes everyone. It's interesting on how we think we're so forward thinking now these days, and we're not doing things as we used to. And yet, yes, when I hear things like that, then I have to say, well, so you still believe if as in a family someone becomes a murderer, kills someone, that the rest of the family are murderers too, and they need to be shunned? Or a thief. There's a thief in the family, and everyone in the family is a thief, right? Yes, have to be. That's such backwards thinking still. And as if, oh, when the children, there's something to it in the restoration process where the children do carry the burdens for that because they're still here as descendants on earth, okay? To restore some wrongdoings of their ancestors. Yes? That is different to me than to say, oh, that's the child of a murderer, so we're going to treat it as that. Freedom of will. No one out there gets to judge a child because of the parents it has. Or even the parents of a child who's, I don't know, you can raise a child sometimes the best way you can, and they're still going to go and do dumb stuff. That's just as it is, okay? Well, the reason for it is that it's true, it's a village that raises a child. Yes? But if that village has too many villains, what's that child going to get into? Just saying. But when it comes down to it, and I started out with that, the restoration process is a choice that we're making. As elderly, as children, okay, as the descendants, we either are willing to do that and look at, oh, why is my life going the way it does? Because, yeah, ancestral sin does affect the descendants. Yes? It's like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree or something. Right? Yeah, you heard that one? It's kind of true. But not in the way, again, that people want to look at someone and say, oh, they're like that because their dad was like that. No, it's because they're struggling with the same burdens of a crime, of something that happened in the past, not even they have done, but comes from their ancestry. People put so much stock in ancestry and this and that and you want to know where they come from. There's a reason for that. Yes? Well then, knowing also is, well then you have to take responsibility. Yes? Just really quick. I went to a healing circle one time and there was this lady and she did these readings and she did mine and she was like, wow, you're on both spectrums. You're in the absolute good, you're in the absolute bad. I'm going, huh? She said, do you ever feel like you're a little torn from one side to the other? I said, yeah, not necessarily in what I do, but in on how I feel about things. Yes, yeah, I want justice but at the same time, I'm going, yeah, but we're supposed to have these forgiving hearts, no matter what. Yes, okay. And so she told me on some of the things that it's interesting that I wanted her to tell me all the good stuff on my inside on my answers. So what did people do so good? But for some reason, all I got was just the bad stuff. The good stuff somehow didn't matter, which I find interesting. Yes? Well, the good stuff doesn't need to be restored, but guess what? It kind of encourages one. Well, if one knows about the good stuff, too, then to take care of that bad stuff. So it turns out there's all kinds of really nasty stuff that has happened in my ancestry. I didn't know. I don't know. Nobody came and told me, right? Yes. I knew about my father. That was, yeah, there were some things. There's just not good. I already knew that. And thankfully, I feel that my father my biological father is in the process of restoring, and it's still going on, yeah, but had some amazing moments, yes, with my father in spirit world. Um, and that's so encouraging. You know why? Yeah, I have some selfish reasons for that. I have children. I have grandchildren. I'd like to take care of as much as I can in both my husband's and my ancestry, that then my children and grandchildren have a cleaner slate to work with when it comes to all the emotional baggage, all the spiritual baggage. Yes, it makes perfect sense to me. And I've seen it in how it works in my own life. Yes. So, but that's an individual choice that we all make. That doesn't mean I'm going to go out there and start pointing the finger at someone that has absolutely nothing to do with the crimes of one in their family. Just saying. Yes? Yeah. So, one more little thing. Wow, that was such a short passage and I had so much to say. So it turns out that the gambling charges, which they're so weird, I don't even know. You know that they have gambling dens in South Korea, but the South Koreans aren't allowed to gamble in those. They have them there though, but they're not allowed to gamble. South Koreans aren't allowed to gamble. They're there for the foreigners. All right. I don't know. I mean, how does that sound like? That is so hypocritical. I don't even. Oh, and South Koreans are not allowed to gamble outside of South Korea either. What? Just saying, gambling is not a good thing, okay? I mean, if every casino would come down right now, that'd be just fine with me. Or they make it into something better. Make it into health spas or well, I don't know. It's just, gambling is not. It's just, dear Lord, people, why would you do that? Really? People's hard earned money goes into what? That is so sad. Oh my gosh, that is so sad. Okay, just saying. Well, anyway, so turns out that they were fundraisers for something, and the participants who were gambling only kept a third of their winnings, and it was a slot machine kind of thing. That was exactly what was laid at mother's feet. The thing is that a true father actually initiated that. But here's the thing. And I don't know how much True Mother really had to do with it, but it seems like she's paying for the sins of others. Yeah? All right. Restoration in progress. Her husband did something that, I don't know, South Korea didn't approve of. Though she wasn't doing it, and obviously but money came in, it wasn't going out, so where did that all come from? But anyway. So, restoring the sins or something that her country that she lives in doesn't approve of, and now she's the one that's getting hammered with it. I'm just saying. That's interesting. An interesting story that just came out about that. Ooh, I better hurry up. I can't see the numbers. So we'll see what happens next. Uh, the interesting thing is in how I have no doubt that mother is innocent, that she has nothing to do with that. To get back to that, but uh, and it was kind of in a way that it was explained as well. Father said that you take the bad stuff and you try to make something good out of it, right? You use it for something good. Like, yeah, some people took that wrong too, where a used to be brother in faith, for some reason he decided it wasn't for him anymore, and I'm kind of I'm going, yeah, well, dear Lord, look at your own behavior. Decided that he needed to experience. Basically, he committed adultery, and the reason for it is that he wanted to experience. He wanted to make adultery into something good by committing adultery, but he did it for the good. He did it so that, yeah, kind of like what Father said with the casinos and getting the money there and turning it into something good. Yes, but I don't think that Father meant it that you go and commit a crime or sin to counteract a sin. I don't think that's what true Father meant. But this is how people take it. Just like the conversation I had with this other guy about Paul and squabbling, and he took it way too far out of context. Yes, for one's own agenda. We learn. Don't use and abuse passages in the Bible per se. Yes, for our own wanting to be right. That's it. That's all I have to share because I'm running out of time. May Heavenly Parent bless and protection guide you and embrace you with love. Eldridge, my dearest brother in faith, I love you. Let's keep praying, and I will talk to y'all another time.